Righty then, United are playing West Ham. David Moyes, a football genius. And we've won 7 of our 8 last matches with West Ham in all competitions. And they've actually dropped 35 points from winning positions against United in the Premier League, which is more than any other side. That's interesting. It's not going well for Moyes at the moment. I'm actually annoyed with him. Or I'd be annoyed if I was a West Ham fan. I'm not overly arsed, but it's an issue, right? So, West Ham under-18s won the FA Youth Cup. Absolutely battered Arsenal at the Emirates as well. And won the FA Youth Cup, which is a big thing, man. It's a big, big deal. And West Ham winning it is fantastic for them. So congratulations to West Ham's under-18s. And it's very difficult, as you'll see when I come and do my 11, to sort of pick the 11, right? It's going to be very difficult to pick the 11 because there's some sort of stomach bug doing the rounds at West Ham. To the extent, West Ham didn't name a full bench in the last game. There was 2 empty spots. Now, what pissed me off here is there was an opportunity there for David Moyes to reward some lads that have just won a trophy at West Ham, which, I'm going to be honest, not a team that wins a lot all the time. And if you're trying to convince some of the parents of these kids that West Ham is the place to be and David Moyes is the manager where your son's going to go and play first-team football, you absolutely shit the bed and failed in the opportunity that you could have given these lads. You didn't even have to play them. You could just name them on the bench. Just name them on the bench and don't use them. You don't use all the subs anyway. What was the point of that? Absolutely, genuinely pathetic from David Moyes. Pathetic. Like, that's what your squad is there to do. When you sit down with contract negotiations with these lads now, any parent or agent worth their salt will not be re-signing with you because you cannot look them in the eye and tell them that you're going to give youth the chance. Because you couldn't even fill a bench and chose not to play anybody, not to select anybody, instead of giving a very successful, clearly under-18s player the opportunity to go and sit on the bench, even as a reward for winning the FA Youth Cup. Pathetic. How do they play? It's David Moyes. It's 4-2-3-1/4-4-2. 4-4-1-1. And it's get everybody behind the ball and we'll look to try and hit you on the counter. Now, they actually do press. It's led by Antonio usually. He's the big high presser up the pitch. They do press. And they operate in a system that tries to press high. And if it's unsuccessful, it drops back and reverts to a mid and occasionally a low block. In attack, you'll see the fullbacks galloping forward. That's there to create additional attacking numbers. And they do push forward like that. And that's partially one of the reasons that West Ham have been so inconsistent in the table this season, is because it leaves them a bit vulnerable. For a team the quality of West Ham, they can expose themselves a little bit by not having as many numbers back as a team of this sort of ability should do. But they've got players that can score goals. They rely a lot on the inverted wingers, and they've got some good ones in there. Paqueta, Fornals, Bowen, Lanzini. They come inside, they get closer to goal, and they can make things happen. Rice and Souček are among the players that missed out against City due to a stomach bug. They should make it back to play us. Those two make a night and day difference to the team when they're involved and when they're not involved. They're so good, specifically at screening the back four. Without them, West Ham absolutely crumble. With them, you know, they're not exactly Fort Knox, but they're a lot better. And they generally approach a quite direct possession style. They look to try and get the ball to the strikers early, whether that's Antonio or Scamacca. And Scamacca had so much promise before he signed for West Ham. I don't think it suited him and his game in the slightest. But either way, whichever one of them it is, they've got good hold-up play, the pair of them, and they look to bring players closer. That's another reason why the wingers invert. That's another reason why they try and get bodies in and around the striker, either for the second ball or even for the knockdown off the first. On counter-attacks, it's quite easy for them to achieve. Antonio floats towards the sides to receive. He pulls defenders with him. He holds it up. And then he's got a through ball on him to allow someone who's sprinting through the vacated space. It's quite a good bit of link-up play, and he's pretty good at it. Antonio is a very powerful runner as well, and his running off the ball to chase down stray passes or even just hopeful little punts into a corner, into a channel, into a half space. Again, very effective, and it makes them really dangerous when they do that. And he can get them up the pitch, and then he can find one of the more creative players who can do something a little bit more intricate when they get on the ball. But they are dangerous in transition, and because they go direct, they're looking to attack quickly rather than build it up. That makes them a problem, especially for a team like United that's going to want to have possession and recycle possession on the halfway line. You do that, you're going to get caught out at the back. Out of possession, sometimes you've seen them even go with a back five, 5-3-2, or even a 5-4-1 if they drop one of the front two to sit on the opposition number 6. The front two in the 5-3-2 kind of contributes to Moyes' team defending a lot more compact and definitely narrower. And the narrow shape likes to sort of draw opponents into wide areas where they feel like they can absorb the pressure and then counter by going central and direct into their front two, often trapping opponents, regaining possession, and as we've just mentioned, they can work it back to press from behind the ball as well. So it's not as basic and Brexit as you want to think it could be under David Moyes, but it's definitely pragmatic. Star man, I think Jarrod Bowen, 11 goals, 7 assists this season. He's a danger. He's a goal threat. He's an assist threat. Him versus Malacia, if that's what we're going to line up with at the left, could be a worry. I think him versus Dalot, still a worry. He seems to be a bit of a fire starter when it comes to West Ham's counter-attacking, the pace and the dribbling that he's got, and he's ultra-direct. I think he gives them a lot of balance and actually a little bit of quality in the final third. He's got a superb left foot, and is equally as effective going inside as he is outside. In terms of United, I think you go with Wan-Bissaka, and I think it will be Wan-Bissaka, Dalot, Shaw, Lindelof. I think you have to play Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno, but I also think you got to throw Sabitzer in there as well. So I would go with Bruno off the right, Sabitzer in the middle, Eriksen and Casemiro in the 6. We go Rashford down the centre, and I'm going to bring Sancho in. I don't know why, I've got a feeling that that's going to work. Match winner, it's Marcus Rashford. I thought against Brighton his pace was a constant threat, but his final ball or his shot wasn't quite there. But he is our most potent threat. I fancy him. Whether he's down the middle or he comes off the left, he sort of operates in the left half space either way. And if he's up against Kufal, he struggled against Grealish, and Marcus is so much more direct and a lot quicker. Down the sides is where you will get the joy with West Ham. And I think that's an opportunity for us. Marcus hasn't had a match-winning performance in a minute. I think he's due one. I think he's definitely due one. How do you beat them? Wide attack and delivery is going to be really important. Defensively, they're so narrow, so you're going to get the ball out wide. And that's an opportunity for Marcus and Sancho, potentially down the left-hand side, to create some havoc. And if they do what I'm hoping they do and play Bruno on the right, he will be able to find balls in behind that defence. Because the defence does start high and transitions doesn't always stay back. You've got opportunities to be able to put a ball in behind the defence where you can get Marcus running onto it, and I think that works. Crosses and set pieces defensively need to be absolutely on point because West Ham are deadly at set pieces, and I think you've got to move the ball fast. I think you've got to make this a quick game because if you slowly build up, West Ham will collapse and just fill their own box and make it extremely difficult for you. But if you catch them when they're in the middle of their own transition, like they're going to try and do to us, there's opportunities in there behind. Both teams are vulnerable to the pace of the opposition forwards, so both teams have to be wary of that. And I think if you can beat them at that and be a little bit more clinical with the chances that you get, you're going to win the game. I know our away form's been bad, but I do expect United to go and beat West Ham. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.